Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Mayor Rodney Grogan with the City of Patterson. And I think we have a really lengthy conversation to have. So let's get right to it. First and foremost, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
I really do appreciate you giving me your time. Let's get right to the conversation. And one of the last council members that I was in attendance for, where I think there's a bit of a controversy that came up regarding pay raises that were given out to employees. And this is also regarding the comments that were expressed during that meeting by one of the council members stating that 18%, which is a total of 6 times 3, so there was 3% from utilities and 3% from the ARPA funds, which are I think it's American Protection Recovery funds, and those combined went towards pay raises towards employees. Now, where the ARPA funds have now been almost depleted since using those funds together to give pay raises. The number that was given, 18%. However, I asked you, I was like, can you explain why that much money was given in regarding pay raises, and was it going to be enough to sustain for the future?
Correct. And as I mentioned to you, what we were looking at, we were looking at the fact that I was in Washington, D.C., I think in 2019, and we were told that we were going to be going into an easy recession and so forth. So then all of a sudden we happened to come across COVID. The pandemic set in. And so then the feds came up with the ARPA money. And so Patterson received like $2.3 million, not in one lump sum. We received it in 2 increments. And in the beginning, we had to have a plan. We had to meet like 7 sectors. There were 7 sections. Public health, employees, benefits, and for sustainability, and other things. So we broke it all down into 7 sectors. The feeding program, all of that, and it was supposed to have been reported to the federal government and kept everything documented, reported. So the feds didn't know what to do, so they turned the money over to the state. And the state just said, well, you go to the portal and you'll be able to draw down your first section of money and so forth. We still kept receipts, kept everything sectioned off. And at one of the council meetings, it was recommended, I made the recommendation that what we would do is 3% from the utility fund, which was the cost of living that we were normally doing anyway, right, and 3% from ARPA. Okay, so ARPA money was supposed to be accounted for all the way till 2025. Gotcha. Okay, so when we put the money there, 3% from the general fund and 3% from ARPA, and the money was supposed to have been set aside and reported to the feds as required. But then the feds turned around and said, well, the state turned around and said, we're just going to dump it all, and you can jump it into the general fund if you receive less than $10 million. Gotcha. I didn't agree with that from day one, because dumping the money into the general fund, you can't keep track of it.
Because now it's allocated, it can be allocated towards anything.
Correct. Okay. And you hear me say I didn't agree with it. Okay. So at that point, the first section of the money and the second section was placed there. But every year in this council that we have, because as I've told you, we only have 1 remaining council from the time that it was actually approved, it was stated that it will be distributed for 3 years, and as monies were available. Right. Okay, so once again, 3% from the utility, which was a normal, right, for cost of living, and the other 3 from ARPA. Every year before we approved the budget, I would ask the accountant, did we have it? The accountant would say yes. Okay, so this council that we have now, they've been there since January 23. So the budget that was passed in June of 2023, they approved it. Okay, in October of 2023, I started seeing some things that were not right. And I recommended to council, I said, we need to do a 3% cut. And no one really wanted to touch it. And then I recommended You do another 3% in January because you needed to do it easy.
Yes. So at this point, it sounds like just scale back instead of doing a full 9.
Yes.
Because really 18% was not
18% was not
because 3% of that each
each
year
year came from
utilities based on standard of living.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So sounds good. Thank you for the breakdown. We still have to come back.
Okay,
So we're
no
going to take a
problem.
short break, but come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back. Again, my guest is Mayor Rodney Grogan, and I'm going to get right back into it. Just want to make sure that we are clear. So we've addressed the 18% number that was thrown out during that meeting.
Correct.
That means 3% from ARPA, 3% from utilities. Therefore, that's 6% times 3.
Yes.
That is what was dispersed. Correct. However, employees are allotted at least a 3% raise because of standard cost of living. And so they are.
Which, if you look at the cost of living and so forth, consumer price index, at one point it automatically went all the way up to 8%. So we still was below.
Real below.
When you look at it.
Right. Right.
You know, so the 3% utility standard.
Gotcha. So we won't even touch that.
Correct.
That would have been 9%. So really the amount in question would have been the other 9% from the ARPA funds.
Correct.
Right. And it would have, and according to you, you suggested more of a gradual decrease.
October of 2023, when I spoke to our accountant, and I mentioned to the council members, I said, we need to cut 3% right now. And in January of 2024, we need to cut at least another 2.5 to 3%. So nobody wanted to touch it. All right. So in April of 2024, as our accountant resigned, and we were getting ready to present the new budget for 2024, 2025, I said, y'all can't approve this because I knew some numbers were wrong. And at that point, I turned back around and say, we need to cut.
Right.
And I looked at cutting with salaries, also cutting with the insurance.
Gotcha.
Okay, still today, nothing has taken place in regards to the insurance. The recommendation was for me, but I don't vote.
Gotcha. So it sounds like there's a lack of communication.
Yes.
And also really just
discuss. I'm not going to say lack of communication.
Okay.
It was more of a fear factor. If everyone in office go with, I'm a public servant and not a politician, and if you do what's right and you vote what's right, you just vote and move on. Because at some point when you can prove that what we did can be justified.
Right.
So if the move would have been in 2023, then in 2024, then again in 2024, another 3%, that 9% that was given out would have been, and we'd be fine, smooth sailing.
I want to tell you, just in the matter of minutes that we've been sitting here, I have a little more clarification myself and understanding the numbers. And I'm a words person and not necessarily a numbers person, and I understand this. So it sounds like, okay, I mentioned communication, but it doesn't sound like communication. It's just a matter of putting it into action.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sounds like that's where we are.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you have it, and that's what I really want to get to the bottom of, and so that we can learn more about where the cuts and where the raises were coming from,
and
what they
when
were
the money,
meant for.
And when the money was given, there was supposed to have been no more hires, and because you got to understand, and I'm not afraid to say what a lot of people are afraid to say. $1.3 million come out of our general fund to take care of the police department budget, which is $2 million. Okay. So at that time, when it was passed in 2020, 2021, we only had 24, 25 police officers that spiked up to at least 30, okay? So at that point, now, when you talk about the benefits, we paid 38% of the police retirement. So all of those numbers there contributed to the offset.
Okay. Where are we today?
Today,
with
I
the
just
budget?
left out of my office, and I can honestly, God say, we are right now on target with the new budget. The numbers are there, and the revenues, the spending has been cut, and we're watching everything.
Awesome. So what about, have you seen an exodus of any of your employees?
We have sustained, but some that have left due to other, but I want to say one or two.
Okay. All right. 2 down, 2 to go. We've
Okay.
got other stuff we're going to talk about. Thank you very much for giving me a little more clarification on the
You're
matter,
welcome.
shedding some light. Speaking of light, that's where we're going. So come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Let's get right back to it, talking about the street lights. Another pretty intense conversation that went on at one of the previous meetings, council meetings. The question was, why has the payment of street lights been forwarded to the residents? Why are we paying for street lights?
Well, again, once we started looking at different things that were costing us, and we're trying to figure out why, and we realized that we were paying at least $10,000 a month for streetlights. So when you multiply it by 12 months, you're looking at $120,000 for streetlights. Of course, for years ago, Patterson wasn't as large. South of the rail didn't even exist. So a lot of things that have taken place in Patterson, and people were afraid to vote upon, increase the gas, increase this, that, and the other. But we have no choice. So to offset this cost, and some people say, yeah, but you receive franchise revenues and so forth. But that's for the right of ways and so forth. And as to say, so CLECO we can't allow someone else to come into the area. And it's for other things. So you're looking at $120,000. All right. So we have roughly 500 residents south of the rail. So that's a whole nother community. So we looked at the fact, we said, okay, if we charge $4 for all of our customers just in the city. Now, the billing went out for the first time last month, and it had some of our unincorporated areas. We had to apologize and so forth and make corrections. But just within the city of Patterson, we're charging $4. We're not the only municipality. There's 2 other municipalities that are charging. So what was on Facebook and all other ways of trying to scratch at me personally, no, I did my homework. And the actual resolutions and ordinances that we received them from the other municipalities.
So this is now, it's an itemized issue,
Yes.
an itemized a statement on the
Yes.
bill.
That should show as miscellaneous, but this first time billing, it went in on the bill, but they're pulling it out to make sure that it shows up as miscellaneous.
So, but you did say there are other municipalities that actually do the same thing. They
Yes.
just don't itemize it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to insurance. I know that was also another contentious moment, and they were talking about, City of Patterson now cutting back on what they pay for families when it comes to insurance. Are you on par with with other local municipalities, on par with the state? How do you guys?
No, we're not. And so when you're looking at the budget, and right now, the revenues are very slow. We have went from a parish size of roughly 60,000 people down to, I think, maybe 52,000 or 48,000. Okay, so with that cut, sales tax, the monies and everything that we were receiving, then you have a new parish government that, I'll give you an example. We were receiving $19,000 a year for fire protection and so forth, that we received a check for $8,000. We took an $11,000 cut without any explanation, but we still got to provide services to those in the unincorporated areas. So therefore, when our revenues are being cut, and someone made the comment, oh yeah, there's a parish-wide tax, and you're supposed to be what was agreed upon years ago where it was supposed to go, we're not receiving it.
Yeah.
So the revenues are falling short in Patterson. So we realized that we are paying right now at least 75% or 50% on a family. There's one municipality paying $100 on a family. There's one municipality that's paying half There's another municipality paying nothing. So I told council, I said, we are at the point now, are we going to go to nothing? So in November, I placed it on the table, giving our workers and enough time to try to find insurance, because in September, we're going to put it back on the table, and families in November, the decision is going to be made. You're going to continue paying and losing, or you're going to actually say nothing on the family.
Gotcha.
But time has been given.
Yes, right. So again, as you mentioned, it's not communication, it's taking action.
Taking action.
Okay. Oh, we got to take a break. So we've got some other things we're going to talk about, and I promise you, we will definitely get to it. So come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, my host, Mayor Rodney Grogan with the City of Patterson. Now let's get to money. I love getting to the money. So 9 sewer lift station rehab project. Grant money?
Yes.
Okay.
We received $2.3 million that we were blessed with from the state. We were blessed also from former Senator Arlene, along with Vinny and Sam Jones. So we got 2.3 million, plus we got 1.5 million from Clay Higgins. So we're in the process of rehabbing 9, and 6 have basically been rehabbed.
Okay.
So our sewer is flowing.
Yes. So of course I go to the.
Now let me say this.
Oh, okay.
I hate to interrupt.
Okay.
Last week we had some problems with one of the rehab systems that's south of the rail, and I know before somebody actually say your sewer is flowing, yeah, it kept tripping, so we had to, and there's the SCADA system has been placed in, so we didn't know when it was shutting off. So let me make that correction. Yes, we
Okay.
did have some problems south of the rail, but of course we're going to have that.
Has it since been corrected?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The water plant.
Yes.
$5 million water
We
plant.
got 5.
Understand that there were some issues with the water
Yes.
plant, but now that you have additional monies to make
When
it,
we
to
built the
expand,
new water plant, we had to cut and go with cheaper filters, and so to make sure that we got into. So of course those filters have played out, and Sam Jones, along with Brad, along with Vinny, they went to Baton Rouge and they said, look, we got to get this corrected. So plus we don't have that much storage space. All right, so they gave us $5 million more.
Oh.
All right, so we're about to improve that, and I'm going to say it. That's why they asked the question, to make sure that you have someone there to oversee the project. And when the tank was placed down, it was more like drop down, and it had like a fracture in it, and so that's been a little water. So right
Water
now we're getting,
leakage?
so
Okay.
we've been having that sealed and so forth. So that's going to help us more with production. But we've been blessed with Centerville and Bayou Vista and Berwick to help us out when need be.
Okay. Let's talk about Berwick. Talk about helping one another. During the chamber's breakfast, do you guys typically get together and do your reports on the city?
Yes.
And I did not know this, but Berwick Mayor Duval Arthur publicly thanked the City of Patterson for helping with gas distribution because some areas along Spanish Trail, Idlewild area were low on gas.
Yes.
So how did you guys help with that, with the distribution of gas?
We put a regulator there, and they're able to tap in. And it was basically to be set up for the Generac.
Or Generac?
Generac.
Yeah, the generators.
And for hurricanes and so forth, so when they have the low, they need lights and so forth. But we've also saw with the storm and everything with fuel, they needed it for their homes and so forth. But we did a cooperative endeavor agreement, and so we partnered. And so we're receiving revenues, although we're helping out it's more
Right.
about helping out our neighbor, but it's right there on Ottawa Trail,
So
Old
it's kind
Spanish
of a
Trail.
tie-in to where you're able to
Yes,
feed
and
into them.
so for their usage, we bill them.
Okay,
But we're able to help them out.
that's right. Gotcha. Okay. Here's a little personal note here. So you're back in teaching, been back teaching for about
3
4 years, 3 years.
3 years.
How are you able to manage both teaching and the government side of your job?
Mayor's a part-time position. I gave the city 11 years full-time. And when the shortage came up, after they came back out of the pandemic and, the virtual, they had a shortage and they needed subs. And I prayed on it. And I'm going to tell you just like God told me, I didn't open the door for you not to walk through it. And so the opportunity came up, and then the position came up to implement the JAG program at Morgan City Junior High, which is in its 2nd year. And so I'm able to, and I thank the school board because I'm able to, when I have to leave for city stuff, but I'm docked,
Right.
but also I'm able, everything is docked, so you sign electronically and everything on computer.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
You're
As
welcome.
always, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.